Right now, in the streets of a country, an illegal flag is being raised for the first time in 47 years. Not a new flag, an old one, ancient even. Carved into that flag is the lion and the sun, a symbol that ruled the world for over 1,000 years until someone decided to erase it. That someone was not an invader, not a conqueror from outside. It was Reza Shah Pahlavi, the king of Iran himself. This is the story of a name and why that name may be the most fought over word in the history of the modern world. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand something that even most historians skip over. The name Persia was never actually Persian, and the people who live there have always known it. The name the entire Western world used for over 2,000 years was invented by the Greeks, not by the people who actually lived there. When Cyrus the Great built one of the largest empires the ancient world had ever seen, his people called their land Iran. They had been calling it that since at least 1000 BC. The word comes from Arianam, meaning land of the noble people, their ancient name for themselves. But the Greeks had a different name. They called it Perses, after a single province in the southwest called Pars, one region out of a civilization that stretched from Egypt to India. Imagine if the entire United States was named after Florida. That is essentially what happened to Persia. The Greeks spread that name across their texts, their histories, their maps. Rome picked it up. Europe adopted it. And for 2,000 years, the world called this ancient civilization by the name of one of its smallest parts, while the people inside, the Iranians in their ancient cities, their mountains, their bazaars, continued to call it what they had always called it, Iran. So from the very beginning, there were two realities, the name on the outside and the name on the inside. But before we get to the name change, you need to understand what was at stake, because this was not just any country. In the 6th century BC, a man named Cyrus the Great did something no ruler had ever done before. He conquered an empire and then refused to destroy it. Every empire before him followed the same playbook. You win, you burn the temples, you exile the people, you erase what was there before and replace it with yourself. Cyrus did the opposite. He walked into Babylon, the greatest city on earth, and instead of burning it, he freed the slaves. He returned the statues of foreign gods to their temples. He told the Jews, who had been in captivity for decades, that they could go home. He even let conquered peoples keep their own languages, their own customs, their own gods. Different peoples, different cultures, living under one empire, not by force alone, but by choice. At its peak, the Persian Empire held 44% of the entire world's population under one rule. No empire in history has ever matched that proportion. Not Rome, not the Mongols, not the British Empire. And they did it not just with armies, but with administration, trade routes, and something radical, tolerance. That is what was behind the name Persia. That is the legacy, 2,000 years of it. And that is exactly what made what came next so painful. Because the name was not just erased once, it was erased twice by two completely different men for two completely opposite reasons. And right now, in 2026, the streets are asking whether it should come back. Fast forward to 1935. The world was modernizing fast. Turkey had just reinvented itself under Ataturk with a new alphabet, a new identity, a new name. Germany was rising with dangerous nationalist energy. In Iran, a military officer turned king named Reza Shah Pahlavi was watching all of it very carefully. Reza Shah had a problem. In the West, the word Persia had become a kind of exotic fantasy. Persian carpets, Persian poetry, Persian decadence. The image was beautiful, but it was also colonial. The West saw Persia the way a museum sees an artifact, something ancient, static, behind glass. Reza Shah wanted Iran to be seen as modern, powerful, sovereign, equal to Europe, not a curiosity from its past. So on the Persian New Year, March 21st, 1935, he sent a single letter to every embassy in the world. Stop calling us Persia. From this point forward, Iran. It was a diplomatic decree, not a declaration of war. Inside the country, it caused outrage. Intellectuals protested. Poets wrote in anger. For millions of Iranians, Persia was not just a name. It was Cyrus. It was Darius. It was the empire that had once made the world hold its breath. Abandoning it felt like cutting off their own history and handing it to the museum case where the West had always wanted to keep it. But the decree stood: Iran, official, final, written into every treaty, every textbook, every map. Except history never actually ends where the powerful say it does. 44 years later, in 1979, a revolution tore through the country like a fire. The Shah was overthrown, Ayatollah Khomeini returned from exile, and the Islamic Republic of Iran was born. The name Iran stayed, but almost everything else changed. The flag was redesigned. The lion and the sun, a symbol older than the Islamic Republic itself, was torn down and replaced with the emblem of the new Islamic State. That lion had been on Iranian flags for centuries. It had survived Alexander the Great, the Arab conquest, the Mongols, and the Safavids. It had survived Reza Shah's modernization. It did not survive 1979. The new government did not just change politics. It changed symbols, calendars, street names, school curriculums. The word Persia, already pushed aside in 1935, became even more uncomfortable. The Islamic Republic preferred to look forward toward a revolutionary Islamic identity, not backward toward ancient kings and pagan symbols. Two erasures, two different visions of the future, and both of them trying to bury the same past. But here is the part no one talks about. You cannot bury something that 90 million people still carry in their memory, in their culture, in their streets. In December 2025, protests erupted across Iran, the largest since the 1979 revolution itself. They started in the bazaars of Tehran, shopkeepers angry about a currency that had lost half its value in a single year. But within days, the streets were full of students, workers, families, and the chants were not just about money, they were about identity. In cities across Iran, and in London, Berlin, Los Angeles, and Toronto, protesters raised a flag, not the green, white, and red of the Islamic Republic, the old flag, lion and the sun, the flag that had been illegal since 1979. For the first time in nearly half a century, that ancient symbol was being carried through the streets, publicly, defiantly, by people who had only ever seen it in old photographs. And in February 2026, airstrikes killed the supreme leader. Iran stands today at the edge of its most dramatic transformation since 1979. What comes next, nobody knows. But here is what history tells us. Every time someone tried to erase this civilization, the Greeks renamed it, the Arabs conquered it, the Mongols burned it, the revolutionaries reinvented it. It survived, not by fighting the change, but by absorbing it, reshaping it, and emerging with its identity still intact underneath. The name changed. The soul did not. So which is it? Persia or Iran? Maybe that is the wrong question. Persia is what the world called it when it wanted to romanticize it. Iran is what its people called it when they wanted to own it. Right now, on the streets. Both names are being shouted at the same time. One on the flag, one on the passport. And that tension, that gap between what a country is called and what it actually is not new. It is 3,000 years old, because sometimes a name is not just a word. It is a claim, a memory, a silent declaration that says we were here before you named us, and we will be here after. Two names, one people, and a story that is not finished yet. If this made you think, subscribe and tell me in the comments, should it go back to Persia?